One major objective of this government 5 years ago, and a promise to this nation, is to secure the country. But it does look like things are getting really worse in terms of security. Is this of a big concern to the president? And what kind of, if this is a concern to the president, what action is it taking in that regard?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Security is still number one in the priorities of the administration. Whenever the president lists the priorities of the government, he says, we secure the country, we revive the economy, and we fight corruption. It's always in that order. Yes, security still remains number one, and I'd like to add that there is no time in any country that security will not always be number one. Because the way the world is now, no country can afford to toy with security. Now in Nigeria, we have some encouraging times, encouraging developments, and we also have some very discouraging developments. We have things that happen that throw dampener into the security progress that we are making. But by and large, to now say government has failed, governors have failed, president has failed, that would not be right. It would be unkind, it would be uncharitable, it would be dispiriting even to those who are fighting this criminality. I tell you, in the Northeast, even in Northwest where banditry has been holding sway, there are soldiers and other security agents who have been there for 2-3 years, and they have not gone back to their families. They've not been rotated because the challenges are very stiff. And then somebody comes and says they have failed. How will they feel?
Mr. Adesina,
they see their colleagues paying the ultimate sacrifice in trying to keep the country safe.
Mr. Adesina, but how would you describe it? If failure for you is an extreme word to use, how would you describe it then when people are being maimed and killed and their communities are being sacked every day, and it's growing out of some of the communities that were concentrated? These issues were mostly concentrated, banditry and cattle rustling, concentrated in areas like Kaduna and Katsina, but it's moved into other areas like Zamfara, Sokoto State, and people are crying. How then do you describe such a situation?
Very discouraging, very sad. It throws a dampener into our souls as Nigerians. But then, in the midst of it, last week, the Chief of Army Staff came from the Northeast and he briefed the president, and he said within about 8 weeks that he relocated there, close to 1,500 insurgents were killed. Nobody said anything. Not a word of encouragement. Not kudos to the military. Last week, the Air Force came out to say in Zamfara and in that region, over 400 bandits were killed. Nobody said anything in encouragement to the Air Force. So what I'm saying is that, yes, there are reversals in this security situation. But when we have progress, let us also talk about it. There are some people who have made it their specialty to talk only about the negative in the country. That is not good enough.
But, I mean, for someone, the president, for example, was promised that he was going to secure the nation, and perhaps the strategy and the model in which he's employing does not look like it was working. Would you say that it was wrong for those who said that model has failed and there should be a re-strategization in the approach?
But talking about model will not be my brief. It will not be within my purview because it's a security thing. It's those who are involved in security and who are experts at it that can talk about model. If we attempt to talk about model, we are just shooting breeze. We are wasting time. It is not for us to do. If there is the need to change model, to change method, to change approach, it is for professionals.
Let's talk about the one that
becomes imperative.
Yeah, Mr. Adesina, let's talk about the ones which you can speak for on behalf of your principal, and is the fact that people's lives are being lost every day. People are losing fathers and mothers, who are losing siblings and losing their children every day because of the attacks. We've seen a situation where even governments of some states are negotiating with bandits, and that has even fallen flat. The president's home state of Katsina is being sacked and ravaged by banditry every day. Sokoto lawmakers are saying things have gotten worse in the state. Speak to us about this situation. What is the president doing differently in securing these territories?
I've told you earlier, it is sad. Even if one soul is lost, is too many. One soul, if it's lost, is too many. Every person, every individual has a right to life, and life must not be wantonly taken. And so when we see bandits, we see insurgents just kill people wantonly like that, it cannot be right, and it is not right. But then, is government working on these things? Yes, government is working. Do we make gains? Yes, we do make gains. Because, like the president said in the broadcast, there was a time that 17 local governments were under the control of insurgents. They've been driven out of those local governments. What you have now are sporadic attacks. And I tell you, one day, someday soon, even these will end. Because it is not conventional warfare.
Mr. Adesina, would it be fair?
No, please wait. No. Wait, let me make my point. If you ask a question and you don't let me make the point, then there's no use to it.
Please go ahead.
The thing is, all over the world, you have these unconventional attacks. And one day, they end. The Tamil Tigers operated for 28 years in Sri Lanka. One day it ended. I'm not saying that these bandits and the insurgents will operate for 28 years, but one day this thing will end. Government is working at it, and it is work in progress. Let nobody come out and say nothing is being done and government has failed. That would be uncharitable.
Mr. Adesina, a big question is, if the government is employing a certain strategy, and citizen, because government is not in vacuum, government is there to serve the people. Some people are saying that, look, the strategy you are employing is you need to change strategy. Is the president considering a change of strategy in ensuring the safety of lives and properties of Nigerians?
Asked me, which I had answered. You brought it back in another way. When it comes to strategy, it is not for us. It is not for us to say. It is not for us to determine. It is for experts in that area to determine strategy, to review strategy, and if there is the need to change it, they will do. From time to time, there are reviews. And how do you know that even the strategies remain the same? Strategies may change from time to time. We don't go to the front. We don't know. And it is not for us to determine that this strategy is right or wrong.
So is the president realizing that he's having a tough time in tackling these issues?
And he's the leader of the country. He receives daily security reports. He knows what is going on. And he feels very sad when we have these reversals. And his intention is that this thing will end and clinically end. And one day, I believe we will get there.
All right, we need to close the program. We are out of time. But what I've tried to drive at is to get whether or not the president is taking any immediate action for what has happened recently. And you've not been able to tell me that, Mr. Adesina. Maybe in 10 seconds you can tell us, what is the good news that can come from you, Mr. Adesina?
It will not be for us.
For the people of Nigeria, what good news as to how this thing is going to be tackled and tackled decisively? Any good news from the president tonight?
It will come. It will come.